They came from a land of shadows, where the sun vanished for months and the earth itself seemed carved from frost. They had no empire, no king of kings, no golden temples, only the sea, the axe, and an unbreakable will. And from this frozen edge of the world they rose, to raid, to conquer, to shape history itself. This is the story of how the Vikings rose from the north, the land that forged them. To understand the rise of the Vikings, we must first understand their cradle, Scandinavia, a place both breathtaking and brutal. Here, survival was not guaranteed. The winters stretched endlessly. The soil was stubborn, the harvests small, and the storms could devour entire villages. For centuries, the north was isolated from the great civilizations to the south, the Roman roads, the Greek philosophies, the Persian palaces. While empires flourished elsewhere, the people of the north lived in scattered tribes, bound by kinship, survival, and the sea. But hardship breeds a certain kind of strength, a strength born from scarcity, not abundance. In this frozen world, every man learned to fight. Every woman learned to endure. Every child learned that fortune favored only the brave. The land was a teacher, and its lesson was simple. Only the ruthless survive. And survive they did. By the 8th century, a new kind of people began to emerge from this northern wilderness, fierce, seafaring, and restless. They were known by many names, Norsemen, Northmen, but the world would come to know them by one name alone, the Vikings, masters of the sea. The Vikings' first and greatest secret was not their sword, but their ship. In a world where most feared the sea, the Vikings tamed it. Their longships were masterpieces of wood and will, light enough to carry over land, strong enough to cross oceans. They could sail through storms, glide up shallow rivers, and appear like ghosts on foreign shores. Every plank, every nail, every sail was crafted with purpose, built not for comfort, but for conquest. To the monks who first saw them, these ships seemed alive, their carved dragon heads rising from the mist like creatures from myth. And perhaps they were. For with them, the Norse gained not just mobility, but power beyond borders. The sea became their highway, and from the fjords of Norway to the cliffs of England, the rivers of France to the steppes of Russia, the Vikings sailed everywhere. They were explorers, traders, and warriors. Their long ships connected worlds, from the icy Atlantic to the deserts of Byzantium. They didn't just follow the tides, they ruled them. The first raids. The rise of the Vikings began, not with an army, but with a single raid. Lindisfarne, 793 AD, a monastery on a lonely island off the coast of England. Monks prayed, waves whispered, the world was at peace. Then, thunder. Longships breached the horizon. What followed shocked Europe. The monks were slaughtered, their treasures taken, their sanctuary burned. To the Christians of the West, it was a vision of hell. Men from the sea with axes in their hands and fire in their eyes. But to the Norse, it was something else, a beginning. The Lindisfarne raid was more than a massacre. It was a signal. From Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, others followed, drawn by tales of gold, fertile lands, and undefended coasts. The old world had grown complacent. The new world, the Viking world, was hungry. And so began the Viking Age, 2 centuries of raids, wars, and expansion that would forever reshape Europe. Part 4. Fire, Blood, and Belief. The Vikings were more than pirates. They were a people bound by belief. In the north, the gods were not gentle. They were reflections of the world itself, harsh, unpredictable, and glorious. Odin, god of wisdom and war. Thor, god of thunder and strength. Freya, goddess of love and death. They believed life was a test, and death a gateway. To fall in battle was not tragedy, it was honor. To die with a weapon in hand was to rise to Valhalla, to feast forever in the halls of the gods. This belief made them fearless. When they charged into battle, they did not fear death, they welcomed it. To their enemies, they were demons. To themselves, they were chosen, warriors destined for eternity. It was faith that gave their fury purpose. It was faith that made them unstoppable. And it was faith that turned simple farmers into gods of war. The expansion. From the north, they swept across continents, but they didn't just destroy, they built. In the west, they struck the British Isles, burning towns and founding kingdoms. They settled in Ireland, carving out Dublin, a Viking city that still bears their name. They conquered York, turning it into Jorvik, a capital of the north. They crossed the sea to Iceland, then Greenland, and even touched the coast of North America, 5 centuries before Columbus. To the east, they sailed down the great rivers, the Dnieper and the Volga, trading furs, amber, and slaves for silk and silver. They founded Kiev, the heart of what would become Russia. They reached Constantinople, where Norse warriors served as the emperor's elite Varangian guard, feared even among Byzantium's armies. Wherever they went, they adapted, intermarrying, trading, building. They were raiders, yes, but they were also merchants, explorers, and kings. And in that balance of blood and brilliance, they became something greater than mere men. They became civilizers of chaos. The Age of Kings. By the 10th century, the Viking world began to change. The raiders of old became rulers. In England, Viking kings reigned, men like Canute the Great, who ruled over England, Denmark, and Norway, an empire built not just by sword, but by shrewd diplomacy. In France, the Norsemen settled along the River Seine, founded Normandy, and within a century, their descendants, the Normans, would conquer England itself. The Vikings had risen from chaos to kingdom. They were no longer the outsiders. They were the power. Their longships, once symbols of terror, now carried goods and gold, missionaries and messages. But with power came change, and with change came the end of an age. The fall of the old ways. Every fire, no matter how bright, must fade. By the 11th century, the North was changing again. Christianity spread through the lands, and with it came new kings, new laws, and new gods. The old ways, the songs of Odin, the sacrifices to Thor, the call of Valhalla, began to vanish. Temples were torn down, runestones replaced by crosses. The gods of war were silenced. Yet, even as the faith of the old world fell, the spirit of the Vikings endured. The courage, the curiosity, the hunger to explore. Those things could not be conquered. They passed from the sagas into blood, and from blood into memory. The Viking Age ended, but its shadow stretched across centuries. The legacy of the North. Today, the longships are gone, but the people of the North still sail. They sail not for plunder, but for progress. Not for gold, but for knowledge. The Vikings' legacy is not only written in battlefields or bones, it's written in us. Their words still echo in our languages. Sky, knife, anger, husband. Their laws inspired parliaments. Their spirit of exploration built the modern world. They taught us that no land is too far, no storm too fierce, no fate unchangeable. Because for them, destiny was not something to obey, it was something to conquer. From the northern wilderness, from the edge of the world, they rose and changed the course of human history. The eternal North. If you stand on a cold northern shore and listen to the wind, you might still hear them. The ghosts of longships, the whisper of oars cutting through dark water. They were born in hardship, shaped by the storm, and driven by something greater than fear. The world called them savages, but they saw themselves as seekers of land, of glory, of meaning. And maybe that's why their story endures. Because deep down, the spirit that rose from the north, the will to explore, to defy, to rise, is not just theirs, it's ours. They were not the end of an age, they were the beginning of one. If you found this story fascinating, like, share, and subscribe to Timeless Questions channel, where we explore the civilizations, ideas, and mysteries that shaped humanity.